I have never felt less confident starting a race. 15 minutes before the gun, I honestly didn't think I'd even make it to the start line. I'd been sick all week, and without going into details, a complete stomach disaster had me visiting toilets the entire last hour before the race, right up until the final minute. But here's the twist. Even with those horrible final preparations and an unexpected injury that will hit later in the race, I somehow, even though I doubt it right here and will doubt it 100 more times before I reach the finish line, will be able to finish this race. So stick around to follow this roller coaster of a race, the Valencia Marathon that I spent the last 5 months training for, with an ambitious goal to run under 2:40. As you can see, I'm a bit stuck behind people here at the start because of the stomach problems. I arrived at the very last second to the start line. So even though I at least aim to be among the faster runners in this start group, I'm now stuck behind runners going much slower than my goal pace of 3:48 per kilometer. So the first kilometers here for me is all about trying to pass people without hopefully wasting too much energy, and trying to settle into something at least close to my goal pace. Even though my confidence is pretty much gone after the last week and this morning, still I decided to at least give myself the chance to maybe somehow feel really good and be able to hold this pace. 1 week earlier, everything looked perfect. I was actually confident that sub 240 was realistic. Training had gone great during the whole training block, but then I got sick. It was a proper cold that left me in bed coughing with a really sore throat instead of doing my final tune-up marathon sessions. This morning, the day of the race, was actually the first moment all week where I felt healthy enough to even consider starting. But then 1 hour before the race, yeah, as mentioned, my stomach completely collapsed. I probably ate something I shouldn't have the day before, so now I'm really worried about how that will affect my race and whether I'll soon have to stop to visit the toilet again, and if I will be able to take in my planned and crucial energy gels needed to run fast throughout the whole race. First 5 kilometers done in 19:28, and I don't feel super good, but I also don't feel nearly as bad as I expected. And honestly, right here I'm just relieved that my stomach is letting me take in my first energy gel. I'm a bit behind sub 240 pace, about 15 seconds, so still close enough to have it within reach. And it almost feels surreal that I'm even here running at a pretty decent pace after being absolutely certain just a short while ago that this marathon was over before it even started. I passed the 10 kilometer mark in 38:55, which puts me just 30 seconds behind sub 240 pace. Considering how much time I lost being stuck behind people in the first kilometer, that actually gives me a massive confidence boost this early in the race. I for sure don't feel as good as I had hoped at this point, but I'm still out here running quite well and still very much in the fight for my dream goal of sub 240. Completely out of nowhere, I get this sharp pain on the outside of my right hip. It honestly hurts really bad, and I have no idea why it's happening right now. This is not the kind of pain you're supposed to feel with 30 kilometers still to go. And immediately I think there's no way I'm finishing this race today. But I'm not ready to give up. I decided to keep going for at least another 5 kilometers, fighting through the pain and hoping that if I'm lucky it won't get worse or another unexpected disaster hits. At least my number bib hasn't fallen off, which was one of the things that I was stressing out a lot about the day before the race. You know how people do these really nice race kit layouts with the number bib and so. Well, I was going to do that, but then I realized that I didn't get any safety pins. So I basically got some of these paper clips from the reception, and I managed to create something okay looking there. And since all stores are closed on Saturday here, went out to the street and got some garbage. Got some garbage that I've used as a thread. And put holes with the paper clip and So if I wasn't stressed enough from running a marathon after being sick the whole week, this put my stress level right on top. So this is what I will be running with tomorrow. A lot of gels. Every single one of these contains 40 grams of carbs. And then I have this running belt that I will carry the gels in, and a really small lightweight camera. And then for shoes I'm going with the Nike Alpha Fly Freeze. And if we move on top here, I want to present the sponsor of this video, that is Coros. That will be an essential part of the race tomorrow. This is the brand new Coros Pace 4 that I will be running with. And I will also using the heart rate monitor to be able to monitor my intensity in a really accurate way. What's also really cool is that Coros is one of the sponsors to the Valencia marathon. And this is such a good choice for tomorrow. It's super lightweight, super bright screen that will be able to see really good even though it's expected sun, and I'll be able to get all of those metrics that I value so much, especially running a marathon where pacing and getting those accurate paces is essential to a good race basically. And one thing that I for sure will use with this watch tomorrow is the nutrition alert, so that I get a reminder when I need to take my gels exactly to follow my schedule. And that's crucial, and it's so good at all of these advanced features coming packed in this super lightweight and great watch. So thanks Coros for sponsoring this video. The hip still hurts quite badly, but at least it's not getting worse. My best guess as a physiotherapist is that it's a small gluteus medius issue. A muscle injury that's painful but shouldn't be dangerous unless it continues to escalate. That's the thing about being sick for a whole week before a marathon. Yes, doing too much too soon is a big injury risk that's often talked about, but taking even a short break like a full week off and then jumping straight into a race is also an injury risk. I try to be a good physio to myself out there, and maybe I'm just trying to fool myself, but my thinking is that this isn't the kind of thing that should cause any long-term harm to run through. So as long as the pain doesn't get so bad that I literally can't run, I decide to keep going. I somehow managed to hold things together quite okay until the halfway mark. I passed the half marathon in 1:22:27, only 2 minutes and 27 seconds behind my dream goal. But that half marathon passing time doesn't matter all that much, because I feel completely finished already. It's super frustrating knowing that I 2 weeks before this hit 1:19 in the half marathon in training and felt so much better than I'm doing right here. So at this point I have to accept that the sub 2:40 dream is gone. Even finishing the race feels pretty unlikely, to be honest. The hip pain isn't fading at all, it's slowly getting worse, and there's still a very long way to go. But I try to find something new that can motivate me and remind myself that my marathon personal best is 2:57. And if things don't completely fall apart or continue to fall apart, beating that should be very doable, and maybe even sub 2:50 if things don't continue going worse and worse. But a part of my brain is desperately trying to find good excuses to drop out of the race, and honestly I have plenty of good ones at this point. But I try to remind myself that feeling horrible is not a reason to quit. After all, I didn't came here to do something that was easy. At kilometer 27, I ran my first kilometer split slower than 4 minutes per kilometer pace. If I keep slowing down more like this, my new goal of sub 250 will quickly disappear too. But what really hits me at this point is how many runners I have already seen that have started to walk, stopped completely and dropped out of the race. The marathon is brutal. So many things have to go right, both in the whole training block and on race day, for you to be able to reach your full potential. But I guess that's also why so many people are drawn to it, to get a real challenge. If this was easy, I don't think that almost 40,000 people would be out here chasing their goals through the streets of Valencia today. The one thing that is going well so far is my fueling. Despite the stomach disaster before the start, I'm somehow managing to take in 110 grams of carbs per hour through my gels. And honestly, that might be the only reason I'm still moving at this stage. And at this part of the race, when both my brain and body are feeling extremely tired, I'm grateful for my course watch reminding me every time I should take a gel to follow my fueling schedule. "30 kilometers. I'm thinking about quitting 30 times. I keep trying to accept and move past all of those negative thoughts, the constant repeating thoughts in my head of how bad I'm feeling and how much I just want to quit the race. I remind myself of a trick I heard the marathon goat Eliud Kipchoge talk about. When things get tough, he tried to smile to reduce the pain. And there's also real studies backing this up. And it actually works. For about 5 seconds. At kilometer 34, everything hits me at once. The hip pain, I'm starting to overheat in the sun, I feel blisters forming on my feet, and the fatigue is overwhelming. I run a 4:16 kilometer, my slowest split so far. If I slow down more, even running a personal best will quickly slip away. But I decided to dig deep and take 1 kilometer at a time. Think as little as possible, just focus on moving as fast as I can in the state I'm currently in. And don't try to think about how far it's left, just survive the next kilometer. At kilometer 39, something suddenly shifts in my head. I realize that I'm actually going to finish this race. And although the discomfort I'm feeling doesn't disappear, the feeling of knowing that I will get to the finish line after all doubts this whole week leading into the race, and especially during the day, is an incredible feeling. Because honestly, this entire race has felt like a nightmare that would never end. And during the race I have kept asking myself why I even do things like this. And the answer is pretty clear. The race is just one day, and sometimes that one day can be brutally hard, like it is for me now. But the whole training block that I wouldn't have had without this race and this hard goal I set for myself, that has been months filled with great moments, progress and meaning. And setting a hard goal like my sub 240 dream has been a big part of that. 5 months ago I was far from even being in sub 3 hour marathon shape, but chasing that ambitious goal is what motivated me to put in all the work. And without that goal, there's no way I'd still be out here fighting for a massive personal best and a sub 2 hour and 50 minute finish on a day and a week that has been far from optimal. Sub 250 could be possible. At kilometer 40 I tried to do some math in my head, and even though my brain is barely working at this point, I managed to realize that if I push hard and finish strong, I can still break 250. So I give everything I have left. Maybe it's the fitness from the whole training block, maybe it's pure stubbornness, or maybe it's just me wanting this nightmare to finally be over, but somehow I managed to speed up a lot in the final 2 kilometers. At this point I also realize how addictive the marathon can be, because even after thinking the whole day that I just want to finish so I never ever have to run a marathon again, I already here start thinking that I need to do this at least once more and try to get everything right, to see how fast I can go then. And seeing the finish line after 42.2 kilometers of pain is an incredible feeling. Considering how this whole day started and how the whole last week has been, I definitely didn't expect what my watch soon will show me. because somehow after a week of sickness, a stomach disaster before start and a hip injury mid-race, I still managed to come out of this with a big personal best. I crossed the finish line in 2:48.11, almost a 10-minute PB. It's not the time I hoped for, but I'm genuinely proud that I set a hard goal, committed to the process and did my best with the circumstances I had. Thanks for joining me in this absolute sufferfest, and thanks to Coros for creating these great products for us runners. If you want to check out all of their products, there's a link in the description. Train smart, have fun, and I will see you in the next video.